Good morning, students. We will talk about hidden neck space infection in this lecture. Our neck is divided into different spaces according to the attachment of different fascia like pharyngobasilar fascia and buccopharyngeal fascia, superficial and deep cervical fascia. These fascia attach to the different structures and different bones in the neck region like mandible, hyoid bone, parotid gland, submandibular gland, and other muscle like masseter, pterygoid, and tonsil. And with this attachment, they form different spaces like parotid space, submandibular space, peritonsillar space, retropharyngeal and parapharyngeal spaces, masticator spaces, prevertebral space, and danger spaces. These spaces are situated in different sides of neck and they are surrounded by different structures. We will talk about this spaces infection one by one. Parotid space infection, that is known as the parotid abscess. It is the suppuration of parotid space formed by the splitting of deep cervical fascia which enclose the parotid gland, facial nerve, external carotid artery, retromandibular vein, and parotid nodes. Superficial layer of fascia is thick, while deep layer over the deep lobe parotid is loose in nature. Source of infection in this parotid abscess. Infection of the oral cavity and oropharynx can reach up to the parotid space via Stenson duct. Stenson duct is a duct for parotid gland which opens into the oral cavity just opposite to the second molar tooth over the ipsilateral side. Post surgery, when patient is taken for nil by mouth for some days, patient is usually dehydrated and due to stasis of salivary flow, there will be Stenson duct infection which leads to the parotid gland abscess. Causative organism for this infection are mainly Staph aureus, Streptococcus, and anaerobic and gram-negative organisms. Clinical features of a abscess are mainly the general symptoms are high-grade fever, weakness due to dehydration, malaise. There will be swelling over the parotid region and there will be difficulty in swallowing if lymph nodes are enlarged over the level 1B or 2 site. Signs of parotid abscess. There will be parotid swelling which is indurated, redness present over the skin, tenderness present over the parotid gland, diffuse located at the angle of mandible and parotid region. Fluctuation of the swelling is usually difficult as superficial layer of deep cervical fascia which is just superior to the parotid gland is very thick in nature. So fluctuation is usually not possible. On oral examination we can find the source of infection to the parotid gland and there will be congestion over the Stenson duct opening. And on compressing the parotid gland, the pus will come from the Stenson duct. In this diagram, you can see this is the parotid region in which we can see a localized abscess. Skin over the swelling is red. There is fluctuation. There is also the shining nature of the skin. That means that the pus is already formed over just below the skin. Investigation. We can localize this parotid gland abscess via USG local part, ultrasonography. If patient has very severe infection, we can go for CT scan to rule out the extension of this abscess. Aspiration of this abscess can be done for culture and sensitivity and by that we can find out the organism responsible for the abscess and which antibiotic will cover this organism against the abscess. If we are taking this patient under general anesthesia for incision and drainage, we can go for routine investigation like this pre-op major investigations. Main treatment is hospitalization of the patient, starting IV fluid and patient has difficulty in opening mouth with difficulty in swallowing. So IV fluid should be started. Higher antibiotic should be given, and according to the culture and sensitivity report we can change the antibiotic. Anti-inflammatory drug and painkillers will be needed. And main treatment for this parotid abscess is surgical drainage, incision and drainage of the parotid abscess. We can put an incision over the preauricular region with secondary intention of healing of the incision. In this parotid gland infection, we have to keep horizontal incision over the parotid region for the incision drainage. We cannot do longitudinal or vertical incision, as there are facial nerves which are coming just below the tragus. So the chances of cutting this facial nerve via vertical incision is more than this horizontal incision. So this needs to keep in mind to keep the horizontal incision for parotid abscess. Ludwig's abscess or Ludwig's angina. It is the infection of the submandibular space which lies just below the tongue and in the floor of the mouth. This submandibular space lies between the mucous membrane of the floor of the mouth and tongue on one side, and on the superficial layer of the deep cervical fascia extending between the hyoid bone and mandible on the other side. This submandibular space is divided into the two compartments via mylohyoid muscle. This muscle will divide this submandibular space into the two compartments. Sublingual space, which is above the mylohyoid, and submaxillary and submental space, that is below the mylohyoid. So there is an attachment over the inner side of the mandible, which is a mylohyoid line, and that attaches the mylohyoid muscle. This muscle will divide the submandibular space into the sublingual and submental and submaxillary space. Here in this diagram you can see that mylohyoid muscle will divide this space into the sublingual and submental space. Source of the infection. Now this submandibular gland and submandibular space lies in close relation with the floor of the mouth and mandible. So any infection like dental caries, infection from the premolar or molar tooth can reach up to the submandibular space and can cause Ludwig's angina. Submandibular sialadenitis means stone in the submandibular gland can cause the infection in the submandibular gland, and that can cause the Ludwig's abscess. Injury to the oral mucosa and fracture of mandible can be infected after the injury, and this infection can reach up to the submandibular gland and can cause Ludwig abscess. Causative organism for this Ludwig's abscess are mainly Streptococci, Staphylococci, Haemophilus influenza, E. coli, Pseudomonas, and sometimes gram-negative bacteria also. You can see that in this Ludwig's abscess there are mainly two infections. One infection above the mylohyoid muscle, just below the tongue, there will be abscess formation just below the tongue. So tongue is pushed upward and posteriorly. Tongue is enlarged, edematous and shiny. And in the infection just below the mylohyoid muscle, this is the mylohyoid muscle. An infection below the mylohyoid muscle, pus will reach up to the skin of the neck or submandibular region, and patient can develop the submandibular swelling, and this infection can reach up to this hypopharynx and larynx area, and patient can have difficulty in breathing also sometimes if infection is severe and much amount of pus is collected. Patient will have difficulty in swallowing with pain, trismus and neck swelling. infection is localized to the sublingual space, it will present in the floor of the mouth. So floor of mouth is swollen with tongue push up and backward. If infection is present in the submaxillary or submental space, then submandibular region is swollen, tender, woody feel, and tongue push upward and backward. And sometimes this infection can reach up to the larynx and hypopharynx, and that can cause the difficulty in breathing by threatening the airway. Here in this diagram you can see that this is the sublingual space infection, so that pus is collected here and tongue is pushed upward and backward with edema over the tongue. In this infection is present in the submental space or submandibular space, and patient has the right side submandibular swelling, which is fluctuation is present in this swelling, and patient will have tenderness over the local site. Investigation which we can do in this is the ultrasonography of the localized region, and that will give idea about the pus collection, size of abscess, and its extent to the surrounding structures. If extensive, then we can go for high resolution CT scan. Culture and sensitivity of the pus can be done. Routine investigation, CBC, WBC count, CRP can be done to know the exact nature of infection, which is severe or mild in nature. Complication can occur in this Ludwig abscess when the spread occurs to the surrounding structure and surrounding important spaces. Spread of infection can reach up to the parapharyngeal, retropharyngeal and mediastinum, can reach up to the larynx and can cause laryngeal edema and threatens the airway. Patient can develop septicemia, and on rupture of abscess into the oral cavity or oropharynx, patient can have aspiration pneumonia due to the pus going into the larynx and trachea. Mainly treatment is same as the abscess we seen in parotid abscess. Hospitalization, starting of higher antibiotic like cefosalbectam, augmentin, cefoperazone, ceftriaxone and metronidazole. According to the pus culture and sensitivity, we can change the antibiotic. IV fluid, plenty of fluids, betadine gargle and anti-inflammatory drugs. Main treatment is to remove the abscess. So incision and drainage of the abscess is main treatment. Sublingual space, in sublingual space infection, pus is present in the floor of the mouth. So we can incise in the oral cavity over the floor of the mouth and we can remove the pus. Submaxillary space, external transverse incision kept extending from the angle of mandible to remove the pus from the submental and submaxillary space. After doing incision and drainage, this site or the local abscess should be drained repeatedly twice in a day, so that the pus will not collect recurrently and patient will have decreased pus collection day by day, and patient will improve with the injectable antibiotic and daily dressing. Third abscess is peritonsillar abscess, that is also known as quinsy. Synonym for peritonsillar abscess is quinsy. Now we have already seen the lateral side or the bed of the tonsil, in which there is a loose areolar tissue and the capsule which is between this tonsil and loose areolar tissue. It is the collection of pus in the peritonsillar space lies between the capsule of the tonsil and the superior constrictor muscle. Causative organisms are Streptococcus pyogenes, Staphylococcus aureus and aerobic and anaerobic infections. Usually parotid abscess usually follows one episode of tonsillitis. Whenever there is some infection remains into the crypts or subclinical infection present in the tonsil, and on rupture of the capsule, this infection will reach up to the peritonsillar space and patient will develop infection in the peritonsillar area, that is known as peritonsillar abscess or quinsy. Clinical features. This infection usually mostly affect the adults. General features of an abscess are fever, chills with rigor, malaise, body ache, headache and nausea. This can be present in any head and neck space infection. Localized symptoms and clinical features and signs are: patient will have sore throat or pain in throat. Patient will have odynophagia, that is the pain while swallowing. If abscess is large, patient can also develop difficulty in swallowing. Patient's speech is hot potato speech, that is muffled and thick due to the inability to move the soft palate with tonsillar area and pain while speaking. Patient can have ipsilateral earache due to the innervation from the glossopharyngeal nerve in the peritonsillar area, and glossopharyngeal nerve is situated in the lateral bed of tonsil. Trismus occurs due to the spasm of the pterygoid muscle, and patient's breath is fetid or foul smelling breath is present. Signs are: usually abscess is present in the just lateral side of the tonsil. So tonsils are tonsil, anterior pillar and soft palate is congested. Usually tonsil is swallowed, congested, and tonsil is usually appeared not enlarged but is usually edematous and buried in the edematous anterior pillar. Uvula is congested and edematous and pushed to the opposite side. In this diagram, you can see that patient has developed abscess over this peritonsillar area. So tonsil is medialized. There is congestion over this anterior pillar, and due to the pressure effect, tonsil is medialized. Uvula is also pushed to the lateral side. There is congestion over the soft palate and uvula. You can also see edematous and shiny uvula with shiny skin over the uvula. So patient can have pain over local side. Patient can have difficulty in swallowing and odynophagia, that is the pain while swallowing. Cervical lymphadenopathy with enlargement of level 1B or 2 lymph node. Torticollis can develop and mucopus can be seen over the tonsillar region or peritonsillar area over the side if this peritonsillar ruptures over the local site. Complications. Peritonsillar abscess can reach up to the important spaces surrounding neck, that is the parapharyngeal and retropharyngeal space. Can develop parapharyngeal and retropharyngeal abscess, laryngeal edema, septicemia, pneumonitis or lung abscess can develop, sometimes jugular vein thrombosis, and if infection is very severe and patient has not taken any treatment, this infection can reach up to the different spaces and different structures lateral to the peritonsillar space, and patient can develop this horrible jugular vein thrombosis and carotid artery hemorrhage sometimes. These are very rare complications nowadays due to the availability of very good antibiotic. Investigation which we can do in this case is CT scan, so USG local part over the submandibular region, and pus and culture and sensitivity of the pus coming from the peritonsillar area, and routine investigation like CBC, CRP, HBsAg and HIV and RBS. Treatment is hospitalization, starting of IV fluid as patient will have difficulty in swallowing and pain while swallowing. Systemic antibiotic, betadine gargle for local antiseptic and analgesic. Main treatment is surgical incision and drainage of the abscess. Incision and drainage of the abscess can be done at the site. The exit size is the most bulging site from the abscess, or the two lines like first line is the horizontal line coming from the base of the uvula and line from the anterior pillar. These two lines meet at the junction, and this point we can insert the area and we can remove the pus from this over the peritonsillar region. Whenever this episode of tonsillar abscess recovers, patient should be advised about the tonsillectomy, as this single episode of peritonsillar abscess is an indication for tonsillectomy, as this type of patient can develop recurrent infection in the peritonsillar area. So this is all about hidden neck space infection part 1. We will talk about retropharyngeal and parapharyngeal space infection in the next lecture. Thank you.